Hey kids, welcome back for another episode of Oldman Plays CFL Fantasy. Didn't do so hot last week, 77.5 points, lost in my CFL Fantasy League contest to FM Fan out of Tiger Cat Talk, I believe it is. But at least this week, I've got some numbers to work with. I'm not usually big on stats, but the one thing that really does help here in fantasy is how many targets a person gets. So let's run through the games quickly here, talk about who we might be worthwhile in each of the games, and then we'll see what we can put together for a team. All right, so we start out with, on Thursday night, we've got Montreal at Edmonton. And with Edmonton, they've only had one game. It's hard to tell who might be worthwhile there. Rankin and Mathis both got a lot of targets in the first game, but I think I'd stay away from that, and I'll stay away from the run game there until they show me something. So I think Edmonton is probably a wash for me. Montreal, on the other hand, well, Philpott's got a lot of targets, and he's caught about 2/3 of them, but not for big yards. Austin Mack might be the better way to go there. He's been consistently targeted and made a lot of good catches on it. The other one that's a possibility there would be Tyler Snead. So maybe think about those ones. Again, I'd stay away from the running game because we don't know, will that Edmonton run defense start to gel. They've got what could be a fierce front seven. And as well, we don't know, Sean Thomas Erlington has to start, but they're finally dressing Stevie Smith III, and how many carries will he siphon off? So I don't know about that one. So then we go to Saskatchewan at Toronto the next night. And I think probably Keyshawn Johnson is a good pick here. He's been solid with lots of targets in both games, and with Emlis out, he's probably going to see more of them. Dante Myers might be a good, not too expensive receiver if you need to fill in that way. He's gotten targets and caught the majority of them. So there's that. And then AJ Ouellette in the run game. I mean, Carey may come in and siphon off a bunch of carries from him, but I've got to find a running back somewhere, and this might be the one to do it. On the Toronto side, I'm staying away from the running game. Don't want to touch it until I start to see something working there, and especially now that McMahon's out and they brought back Brown, and who knows what it will be. But receivers, David Unger III has been very solid. Not going to get you 30 points, but he'll probably get you 15 to 20. And Coxie is another one that's well worth looking at. So, yeah, so that's what we go to there. We can get to the other side. We go with Ottawa at Calgary. Sorry, my voice is going there. Ottawa at Calgary. The Ottawa side of things, Braylon Addison's been getting a lot of targets and turning them into yards. And, of course, Eugene Lewis, which is no real surprise there. Hardy opened strong in week 1 against Saskatchewan. Like 9 catches on 10 targets and a touchdown and whatnot. But then last week he was considerably cooler. So if Brown is in, maybe Hardy. And so that takes us to the Calgary side of that matchup. And Calgary really, Jalen Philpott's the only one who jumps out as having had a reasonable number of targets and catches in all the games that are there. Of course, Begelton's out now, so who knows? Maybe we'll see more with Barnes and maybe more with Rhymes, but I got burnt on that last week, so I'm probably staying away from anyone but possibly Philpott here. And then the last game of the week, BC hosting Winnipeg. BC, I don't know if Nathan's going to be in there, and if he's not, I'm leery to take anyone. Maybe Hatcher. He's been relatively consistent. The only other one who's had a big game is Barry Hill, and he came back with like 2 targets the next game, so hardly worth doing. And then on that Winnipeg side of things, Zach will be back in there. They've only had one game. Looks like the people that you'd kind of expect. Is it Dembski, Schoen, and Wheatfall got a lot of targets, so something to look at. On the running side, like I said, everybody will maybe be taking Peterson out of Winnipeg if he starts. If you're going to do that, make sure that you have enough money to switch over to Cooley if he gets the start on there. Other than that, just from who's got a chance at maybe doing something with it, possibly Butler out of the backfield for BC, although I don't have a lot of strong feelings there. Mills again. Ottawa's got a strong run defense, but you've got to pick somebody. So we'll see where we go. And defenses, either Saskatchewan or Winnipeg if I can afford them. I think maybe Saskatchewan this week because Arbuckle's been throwing up a lot of ducks, and they may get a lot of picks. So that's about it. Let's fire up the CFL Game Zone fantasy page on the old computer and see what we can afford and what the team's going to look like. Okay, here we go. So let's get back to it and start with the quarterback. And I think I've kind of talked myself into Trevor Harris with this one. If we go with that first game, Davis Alexander with Montreal going into Edmonton, I don't have faith that Trey's going to do it up big. I kind of got burnt by Davis Alexander. He plays as much as he gets to play as much as he needs to, and that may not be that much against Edmonton. Going to the next night, that's where I'm certainly not taking Arbuckle, but Harris makes some sense, especially since I think I can team him up with Johnson. And then get the rest of the games. VA, well, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet, so I'm going to wait and see. Drew, will he even be in? And if he is, will he be healthy? I'd consider that, but just don't know how he's feeling there. And same thing in the other game. Will Nathan even be in? If he's not, I'm certainly not picking Mazzoli, and Kallars has to show me that he can do it this year. He hasn't in the last couple of years. So let's go to the quarterback select players. And where do we go here? Oh, on price. Harris is even down there a little bit below some of the others, so we'll take that. And then we wanted to team him up with Keyshawn Johnson, we said. Oh, and there's Johnson right up near the top. So let's go with that. Okay. Now the running backs. There's none that I feel good about this week. And AJ is 11-2. Let's take a chance on AJ now. I guess you pretty much have to take Peterson out of defense now. But Winnipeg, let's see, do they have Cooley even listed on here? They do. Oh, and he's 2.5. So yeah, so we can definitely make a change if we need to. That will be no problem whatsoever. So okay, let's say we go with those two as our running backs. So now we got to fill out a couple of wide receivers. And who were we thinking about with those? I think we said that we really liked the idea of either Coxie or Unger. Let's see how much Coxie costs. $10,000. How much does that leave me? 19.3. What does Braylon Addison bring to the table here? And again, may change that out if it turns out that Drew Brown is not. Hardy is 11.8 and Addison is 10.4. So if we put him in, now that means what kind of a defense can we actually afford? Let's go by price. Let's see what's the best one that I can actually afford. Calgary Stampeders. The only one that maybe we could play around with might be A.J. Ouellette. And I don't know if I want to do this, but teams all position running back. Okay. Standback is at 10.8. Rankin, Thomas Erlington. Yeah, and he may come out of the backfield more. So let's do that. I actually feel a little bit better about that way. So that now means that my defenses are wide open to me, and like I said, it feels a little bit better to me about the Saskatchewan one. And that's it. That's a long one, but there we are. We're locked down. Oh, I have to pick a captain. Let's make Trevor the captain, save it, and we're done. There you have them. Those are my picks for the week. Use them at your peril. Hopefully I'll do better than I did last week, and hopefully you all have a great week of fantasy and enjoy a great week of CFL football. Until next week, Oldman, signing off.